Feeling like your family is bursting out of your current home? With a growing family, a stable income, and a fantastic equity in your property, it is tempting to dream bigger. But before you take the next step, let's uncover the hidden cost of upgrading to a bigger house.
My whole life I was told to buy a home, and now that I'm of age to do so for myself and my wife, have a baby on the way coming January, I'm just scratching my head wondering if it's even worth it anymore.
Decided to buy a house when the down payment was about 10% or so of my net worth, because I really felt I wanted to use the capital for other purposes. But that was a way different environment.
Join me today as we uncover the real cost of moving up. And stay tuned, because towards the end of this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how you can prepare mentally and financially for the move up home. So let's just now look into the emotional and social aspects of buying a bigger house, right? So the emotional aspects basically are just like you feel like you're owning a bigger house, you feel like you're providing for your family, you feel like you're building a foundation for your family, and you feel this is going to help you create long-lasting memories with your family. Whether your kids are very little right now, at middle school age, you feel like this is the house that you want to be there forever. You're never going to run out of space, and this is where you're going to create so many memories moving forward. But at the same time that you're seeing all these benefits, you're also going to see some potential negatives sometimes. Number one is that you can potentially feel like there's some stress associated with buying a bigger house. There is an emotional stress, and sometimes husband and wife or your significant other tend to kind of like fight just a little bit sometimes because of how things, he wants it this way, she wants it this way, and it just really becomes a very difficult thing to make a decision, right? So with a bigger house, be prepared to be more isolated, meaning bigger space allows for you to be more separated rather than being more together as a family. And remember, the reason number one you decided to buy this house is because you want to build memories. And memories are not built when you are separated. Memories are built when we are together as a one. At the same time, having a bigger house, sometimes it's a matter of ego. It's a matter of feeling you're maintaining certain social image that you portray sometimes success. So let's just also be aware that not necessarily you want to be buying a bigger house to show the world you're doing better, but you want to buy it because you actually need it, because you're actually running out of space in your current situation. Another aspect here that we have to look into it is the reduced in the quality time with your loved ones. Why are you going to say, Robert, but we're not, there's no reduction? Well, imagine a bigger backyard, a bigger roof, more downspots to clean, more grass to cut, more leaves to have to pick up in the fall. A lot of these things add up in time, and you have two options. You either pay someone to do it or you do it yourself. Granted, you can build memories with your little ones as everybody is participating in maintaining a property like this one, but you also have to be mindful that may prevent you from doing some other things that you thought that you want to do with your family down the road. Now, let's concentrate in the maintenance cost, right? That's a big thing here, because with a bigger house, you're going to have, guess what? Higher bills, higher repair bills. Larger homes often have more systems and components that can actually break down, leading into an increase of repairs, increase of cost of maintaining, and these sometimes can add a lot of emotional stress to yourself. As I said it before, with a bigger house, you have now the potential to have to do a lot more work than you expected. And you say, but Robert, we are really buying this bigger house because we want to be there forever for the rest of our lives. I get it. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but you also have to take in consideration not only the down payment, not only the closing costs, not only the moving fees, and not only the furnishing fees, but now the upkeep of the property that can also generate a lot of stress, especially if the economy comes in a downturn. But don't worry, at the end, as I said, I'm going to give you some tips that you want to keep in mind. And remember, if you really want to have a conversation about moving up in this kind of environment right now, want to buy a bigger house and you don't know if you need to sell your current home or keep it as an investment and take the equity out, let's schedule a phone call. It's a free consultation. We can schedule a phone call here. We can talk about your wants and needs, and we can come up with a very unique strategy that will serve your own purposes. So now let's go back to what we were talking. I recently came across this article from Investopedia that it says, moving up, dream house or money pit. And it says a bigger house means bigger expenses. You may not thought about it. Okay, so this is very important for you to think about. Is this going to be something where I create memories, or this is something's going to drain me financially and emotionally? And who knows? You can even put at risk your relationship with your loved ones. So from this website, I'm going to read you a couple things here that are very important for you to know. Number one, it says a pool, the average cost for outdoor work. For example, if you buy a bigger house that has a swimming pool because it's been your dream to have your own swimming pool rather than belonging to a private swimming pool or the community swimming pool, a new swimming pool nowadays can potentially cost you up to $55,000. Now, if the pool was already built with the house, you have to do an inspection, right? You're gonna make sure that you're buying something that is working. The structure of the pool is good. All the components that serve, like the pump, if it has a heating element, the filters, the cleaning, all those things, you gotta make sure they're working. Maintenance around average cost, according to this website, can be as low as $960, can be up to like $1,800 per year. It all depends what kind of maintenance you want to have. And remember, if you live in the northeast portion of the country, you also have to close your pool at the end of September, and you have to pay for that. And then you have to open it up when the spring starts the following year, and you also have to pay for those things. So those could be added costs. Now, if you live in the south, in the Florida area, it's different. But here in Maryland, people have to pay to close their pools towards the end of the season. Some people close it in September, others in October. It all depends when you want to close it, but you have to keep that in mind. Now let's look at, okay, you want a bigger house, you want to create memories, you want a super, uber nice deck. Nowadays, building a new deck or redoing a deck can be as little as $8,000, as high as $30,000. It all depends what you want. Average maintenance cost for a deck nowadays, it can be between $800 to $1,000 a year. It all depends when you want to do it. I always suggest you got to stain the deck often to prevent any damage. You want to make sure that all the metal structures attached to it are sound, are in good repair, so that way you prevent any surprises down the road. Let's say you want to create an outdoor kitchen, right? This is more for the southern states. Well, now to create a nice grill area with a kind of like a kitchenette and everything, it can cost you really close to $20,000, $15,000 to $20,000. So it is expensive. And as we talked, remember that big backyard you've been dreaming of? Well, somebody has to cut the grass. You can go and buy your own like lawnmower yourself. Those are what you can ride on, right? The 4-wheel ones. I mean, those are probably going to cost you $5,000 and maybe 2-3 hours of your time every other weekend or maybe every weekend. Now, if you want to pay a company to do it, that's roughly about $3,500 a year. It's about like $125 per visit. So as you can see, all these things start add up to you, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about these things. I thought I only needed to have the down payment and these other things. So now making sense, right? This makes a lot of sense now. Another thing that is happening a lot right now is, especially if you're buying a house over $1 million, is that insurance companies are now have a saying on the house you're buying, especially if the roof and the deck and the siding or the driveway are not looking in good repair. I have heard cases, not personally myself, but here in Maryland, I have heard some cases where the insurance company is asking the buyer to replace the roof, and they giving him a period of time of 30 days before the purchase of a house. So imagine you're buying 5,000 square feet home, you probably have to repair a roof, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. I mean, replace it most likely. You're probably looking about 15 to 20K in this area. Let me know in the comments, what's the average cost to replace a roof in your neck of the woods? I'd be curious to know if you northern states, southern, east, and west coast. I just want to know what's happening and what is costing you. And of course, hidden problems. Bigger homes have big problems too, right? It goes with the size, it goes with the square footage. There's really nothing you can do. So you really have to be careful. Now, says Robert, some people tell me that
I should be buying a home warranty. What's your take on that?
So the thing with home warranties is that it could be a peace of mind, something you said, well, it's a peace of mind. I buy a home warranty, it covers all the big mechanical items. But keep in mind, these guys are not, companies are not here to lose money or go out of business. These companies are here to actually make a lot of money. So initially they'll try to repair any of the items that you are requesting some repairs, and they'll probably try once or twice. And if they cannot repair the item, they'll probably give you a replacement cost. Now, keep in mind is if you have an HVAC system and the HVAC system costs $10,000, they're not going to give you quite $10,000. They probably will give you close to like 80% of that value. So maybe 8,000, a little bit more, a little bit less, just that kind of thing. So it all depends, but you have to really be aware and mindful of these things. So let's continue here with the initial cost of buying a house, right? That's very important. And here's the famous down payment. Now, if you already own a house, maybe the down payment is coming from the equity of your other property. And if that is the case, kudos to you. I like to hear that that's coming from your property. You can either sell that house and buy the next one. You can also rent that primary property and keep it as an investment, and can be your retirement, kids' college fund, an investment to buy maybe another house down the road. Let me know in the comments here if you own more than one house, how you're doing with the maintenance of your bigger house and your smaller house. Let me know in the comments how you're handling those things. But if you have that money, maybe you, typically speaking, when you're buying a bigger home, like moving from a house that is worth $500,000-$600,000, whether it's a single family or a townhouse, depending where you live. In Maryland, townhouses are very common. Actually, $500,000 is very normal for this area. But if you're moving up into like a $900,000 to $1 million house, so coming up with a 20% down payment, it's a good idea. Maybe you want to put a little bit more because all those other expenses that I just mentioned before, right? So you want to do that. Then you have to put about the closing costs. So if you're doing 20% down payment, you might want to budget for another between like 8 and 10% additional for your closing cost and all those fees that you're going to be paying for settlement and doing title and inspections and all those things. So that could potentially get you to like 27 to 30% initial cost to do those. Now, imagine with a bigger house, you're going to have a bigger mortgage payment, bigger tax bill that you're going to have to, make sure you work with, bigger utilities. Okay, so you have to really work the numbers. It is very important that not to be impulsive when it comes to these things. It's just to be a planner, meaning you sit down with your real estate agent, with your financial advisor, with your tax person, and just go over the process just for you to understand what makes the most sense. Selling your current home to buy the next one, keeping your current home to buy the next one, pulling out some of the equity that you have on your current home so you can do the other one. So imagine those things. Now, think about in this case, as you buy a bigger house, you might be also stretching yourself, your income, and maybe there will be less disposable income to do other investments, whether you're thinking on the stock market, crypto, buying another house, buying a waterfront property. There probably could be a little less of that. So if you always look at the 10, 20, 30-year plan, and if in that plan it's more investments, especially around real estate, so you have to take that in consideration to this, is because the markets have up and downs. Like anything in life, there's going to be some ups. Thankfully, all these past years we've seen a nice up in real estate prices, although they are very unaffordable for certain buyers. But we could also see a downturn. I don't foresee that right now, but who knows? We could potentially see a downturn in the real estate market. And of course, if a downturn comes in the real estate market, do you have the means to actually stay afloat when that happens? If you don't, and you have this big house, what's going to happen is, mom and dad, husband and wife working, or they both have a job. It's only the husband the one that has to work. What kind of job do you have? What kind of investments, what kind of savings do you have right now in case there is a downturn in the market? And remember, any shift in the market, it happens in a period of time. It can be 6 months, it can be 12 months, it can be 18 months. It all depends on how bad it can be. So you really want to be prepared. And I'll talk more about that down this video. And of course, the ongoing cost. This is just tied up back into the maintenance cost, right? The maintenance and repairs that homeowner have to budget about 1 to 2% of the home's value every year for maintenance costs. Let's just really be honest right now. Especially if you're buying an older house, I've heard really bad stories. If you are in a well and septic, right, you have to also budget certain things, because those well and septics, houses built in the 70s and 80s, you have to take into consideration that that can potentially break at some point, and the cost of redoing those things right now can be pretty high. So 1 to 2% is something that you really always want to budget just in case, right? Your property taxes, they may go up too. Your hazard insurance can also go up. As I said before in this video, there's so many people that are now having conditions. Yes, we can buy the house, but here are the conditions from the insurance company. That's something that you didn't even hear before, but now they're putting these conditions. And my gut feeling is that hazard insurance, home insurance, is going to continue to go up, as well as car insurance and any kind of liability insurance most likely will go up in the years to come. So keep that in mind. That can be maybe these 1 and 2% I'm talking about, maybe it has to be more like 2 and 3%. Who knows? We'll see. The cost of electricity can go up. Solar panels, they still have not been proven to be the right investment for certain people. Let me know here in the comments if you have solar panels, and if you have them, are they actually providing you the savings you've been looking for? Because my experience is a 50-50. Some people have some savings, some people don't have any savings. And of course, you're gonna have, right, internet, right? You're gonna need to have internet at home, and the price of internet sometimes really goes high. Cable, although a lot of people are ditching the cable boxes for more of a streaming, but even with the streamings, I mean, I heard some people paying more in the streaming apps that then actually pay in cable as it used to be in the past. And if you have a bigger house, guess what you might want to have? A bigger TV. And not maybe one, maybe two. Maybe you have that beautiful rec room in the basement where you want to have that 80-inch TV to watch the movie with the kids. Maybe you have a family room and you want to have with the fireplace, and you want to have that big TV right above the fireplace so the kids can actually watch movies there. So you see what I'm saying now? All these things, that it's not only the house, it's also the things. And furnishing, right? Maybe the wife is just tired of that. Maybe you want to have an 8 or 10 people dining set. So maybe that's because you have a bigger family, you have in-laws visiting for the holidays, so you have a lot of these things. So just keep that in mind. Now, here's when probably gonna get some heat back from any of you. Like, sometimes real estate is considered the investment, the return on investment. It is not necessarily the best. It all depends what it is. Right now, we've seen double-digit appreciation, but in some cases, we don't see those double digits, and we always sometimes see a single digit sometimes. So it's kind of sad. But according to some statisticians and something that I found online, is the return of investment in real estate, it's slightly under 1%, like a 0.8%. Now, not the case in these past years, but if we look from 2008 to probably 2016, yeah, the appreciation wasn't that high in certain areas. Here in the Maryland, Washington, D.C. metro area, we always seen on a down market an average between 4 and 6% every year. So they still see some appreciation in comparison to the stock market. Some people say, well, you can see a 10% appreciation in the stock market. And this is all annually, of course. So opportunities, may come and not come here and there. But some people will say, well, put the money in the stock market, not in real estate. I am diversified. I'm not going to just say put them in real estate, because I know there's people, some bad stories, bad investments, but I will say diversify, because that's a good thing. So, and as I said right now, I will give you some tips for you to be ready, mentally and financially ready, if you're looking to buy a bigger house. It's not all gloom and doom. There's also some hope, but you have to really do your homework. So let's do those things right now. Okay, long-term commitment. Plan to stay in the house for at least 10 years to justify the investment. So if you're really going to be buying a bigger house, you're going to go through the hassle of selling your current home or renting it and moving into the bigger house. So you really have to have a long-term commitment. And if in your long-term commitment, it has buying more real estate, a vacation home, some other investments, so you have to take that into consideration. Just because right now you are seeing an abundance of cash doesn't mean that it always stays the same. A lot of people make the mistake that they think the economy is going to be the same way all the time. And no, you have to be prepared for the downturn. So keep that in mind. Be financially prepared. What I mean by that is you really want to set aside a budget. And Dave Ramsey talks a lot of these things in his show, that you really have to have about 6 months of savings put aside. I would say 6 months of savings is good when you have a house that is more than average price, like, in the 400s to 700s. And I'm speaking for Maryland. I know in some other areas that can be in Texas, that probably is a mansion. You probably have less than that. But if you're really moving into a bigger house, million-plus house, you really want to have more than 6 months. That's my professional and personal opinion. I would say you probably need to have more like 8 to 12 months. Yikes. Yep, 8 to 12 months. So if your total cost of maintenance, utilities, mortgage, it's $10,000. That's your math right there. You might want to have $80,000 to $120,000. You say, Robert, not everybody has that kind of money. I know, not everybody has that kind of money, but this is how you have to be financially prepared. 6 months will probably get you by, no problem, but 8 months to 12 months will give you peace of mind. That's my take. Steady income. Make sure you have a steady income, whether mom and dad or both or just one of them is working. You want to ensure yourself that you have a very good income. It's steady, it's good, and it stays the same. And in the horizon, although nobody has the crystal ball, but in the horizon, you're really going to have this assurance that your income will at least stay the same. And if there is a little bit of reduction of income for whatever reasons, then that's where you have that money set aside. Those 6, 8 to 12 months that we're thinking about, that's where you want to have that. And always remember, for budgeting purposes, 50-30-20. Google 50-30-20. It's a good budgeting rule for you to live on. A stable family situation. Make sure you have a stable family situation, meaning if you're planning to have more kids, kids come with more expenses. Pampers, milk, daycare, stroller, car seats, all those things. So if you're young and thinking about starting a bigger family, and that's why you're buying a bigger house, this is where you have to really be careful to make sure you take in consideration a lot of these things. And the very last thing, very last thing is estate planning. Make sure you have a very decent estate planning, especially if you're owning more than one piece of real estate, keeping that other house as an investment and buying a bigger house. Estate planning, it is key for you to be prepared against anything unforeseen things and to make sure you have peace of mind, as well as your family will have a lot of peace of mind. But estate planning, a will, a trust, revocable trust, living trust. I'm not an attorney. I'm not here to advise you. But let me tell you this. If you want to have a consultation with me, I will also get you a free consultation with one of my estate planning attorneys partners that can tell you what is the best solution for your particular scenario. That is a no cost to you. I'll pay the fee. Whether we work together or not, it doesn't matter. I just want to make sure that you have peace of mind moving forward. And remember, if content like this is something that you like and you enjoy, smash that button where it says, I like what Robert is putting out there. And if you really enjoy it, just follow me for more content. Every week, you'll see a new video coming out from me. Thank you, everybody. And if you want to have a consultation, just get me in the link right here below. Just click on it. We'll have a phone, video consultation, whichever is convenient for you. And thank you again. Have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.